if I had to fucking see a monkey fucking bend a string for like 6 hours, I could see some Asian kid on YouTube fucking going for it, man. At 6 years old, why do I need to see an aging Bengali fucking doing that and like think he's fucking like the blues, man? It's not. Making people feel, making people have a memory, a moment. That's what a song is. That's what a piece of music is, you know. Men are cheating, losing fucking idiots, okay? And, you know, the women have been like put into such a place where they have to be accepting. Love is something, okay? And sex is something else. I don't fucking belong to the east side, west side. I can barely fucking like eat my rice. I'm Bengali. I eat fish fucking in the afternoon. You think I fucking like have hoes, bitches, and like fucking gold chains around? No. We don't do what we do because it's work. We do it because it's our drug. It's an addiction.
If I said it's up for you, would you promise it be true? If I had a point of view, why would I, why do 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 I go round and round and round?
Woo! Woo! So that right there is a live acoustic version of our theme song, originally sung by our next guest, Ananda Sen, and his band at the time, the Supersonics. Feels weird for me to call him Ananda, and so I will refer to him as I have known him since the age of 8, Mumshi. Super excited to have him on, probably my oldest and closest friend in the world. Man, we've been through our share of ups and downs, of fights and fallouts. But here we are, 30 years later, still hanging on by a thread. And I tell you, anyone who hasn't yet heard the music of the Supersonics, I can say without any hint of bias, and I'm sure I'll get some comments for this, but the best Indian rock band to come out of the scene ever. And I'm willing to argue that case to any takers. This guy has been there and done that and written the damn song and has some stories to tell. I've been there as one of their biggest groupies and witnessed my fair share of chaos and mayhem along with them. We're going to discuss the Indian music scene in general and talk about why things are so fucked for Indian artists. Music is perhaps the purest form of expression that exists. Whether we're going through a devastating breakup, at a morning rave, or singing passionately with your mates at a football match, it's always music that is the one unifying factor. The thing that we all depend on to really get us through, to lift us up, to drive us on. Yet why do musicians have it so tough? Why are so many killing themselves every day, breaking their backs, making music with their blood, sweat, and tears, when the industry and we as general treat them so badly? Joining me once again by unpopular demand is my producer Shanks, who just because that one time in Goa when that band was taking a break and he decides to hijack the microphone and scare off the remaining 3 people in the bar, he thinks he's uniquely qualified to get in on the conversation. Oh well, here we are. We might even get a bit of a cameo from our brilliant artist Mrinalini, who's also floating about in the background. All right, looking forward to keeping things freewheeling and random. And to get things kicked off, I've got a gin and tonic. And I think Shanks and Mumshi, Mrinalini have all got their drinks as well. So we might get a bit smashed halfway through this.
As long as it's not a dirge.
As long as it's not a dirge. That's when Shanks will take over. Actually, Shanks, why don't you just take over already, man? Get things started, man.
I have no words. Literally have no words, but so happy to be on this. Mumshi, Mrinalini, welcome to the potty. Welcome to Why Do I, named after your famous song.
Well, you know, it's so strange. I've never heard Jhala say so many nice things in one breath about me in 30 plus years. So,
Mumshi is now living out his semi-retirement in Goa. That's where I was spending some time with them a few weeks ago, working on his solo music with one of the greatest music producers this world has seen. So what's going on, man? What's happening with all of that right now?
So firstly, yeah, you should have him on the show instead of me, because actually he has way better stories to tell you. But yeah, I mean...
And that's Mithi Adhikari we're talking about. Look him up. Everyone from the Foo Fighters to Nirvana to Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's been there, done that, produced it all.
He's also really old, so
proper legend. And we definitely hope to get him on one of these podcasts soon.
But I'm semi-retired. I'm working on an album. It's a solo album, but it's not really solo because I actually have all the cats in India kind of playing on it. It's more like it's me and all the great musicians of India kind of there. So,
could you give us some names?
It's everyone. The who's who. We have Rakshit. I'm doing one track with him.
Rakshit as in Yorchin.
Yeah, Yorchin, Sky Rapid.
Lovely, love him.
I've got like the Supersonics guys, the Ritornellos guys. I've got just a lot of.
But how do you do it? How does it work remotely, man? Like, isn't it a whole different ball game? Like, music is for a band to be together, jam, play off each other. How does that work?
So that's basically been like the reason why this low album has taken like so long is because I've kind of struggled with that one. I've always played music with other musicians, and even before the pandemic and stuff, I had to get used to the fact that, doing a band means it's a commitment by 4 people saying they're going to put their lives, their careers into this one thing. That's a huge amount of commitment and for very little return. And I learned the hard way with the Ritornellos that doesn't work up to a certain point because people need money to survive. Musicians need money. They have to pay rents and all of that shit. So, and then you have to then resort to the machines, which is like, playing with a computer. And that's not nearly half as rewarding, at least for me. And the process also gets way harder because the machine only does what you tell it to do. It doesn't have a point of view. Why do I? So I started it post the Ritornellos breakup, and it kind of that got to me, so I stopped. And then Meethi's kind of been hammering it into me that I need to just put it out and finish it. So I've started redoing it, and the way I'm doing it is kind of like, yes, I'm playing with machines and stuff, but then I just do the canvas and like the backbone of the song with machine. And then I send it out to all these guys and let them have a good time with the song. And then we pick the best parts or the most appropriate parts and put that in. And it's a completely different way of making music. But I mean, I think a lot of musicians who are making their own music right now have to do it like that because you can't be holed up in a little sweaty practice pad, jamming out and working on ideas. And so, that's a bit demotivating also because the process is a little like boring.
I mean, if you have ever had to like perform a gig together, would you guys be able to get in a room and be able to play that song that you guys have played in different parts?
No, in all likelihood, no. And that's actually the biggest problem. So like, if I actually had to play all these songs live, it'd be really hard. I mean, I would need a bunch of guys to sit and learn the songs and the parts, and then I'd have to sit and, redo them a bit so that it's appropriate for a live kind of, because, when you have like a computer to do your shit for you, you can like have 20 vocal tracks, 50 guitar tracks, harmonies, layers, and you can go a little berserk on that shit and overboard. But these are all things that like have really slowed my process down a bit.
I mean, you've had a lot of things to like potentially demoralize you over
our friendship.
That's the one thing holding it all together, bro. That's the one thing.
Maybe.
Do you have any words about Jhala and your friendship? You've known him for 30 years. I've been working closely with him.
I do have a good Jhala story. My first real memory, of him was, so we were in the school called International School, where basically all these kids who were not born in India, and then they came back to India, and India was like 30 years behind the rest of the world. So when I came back to India, there were like rickshaws on like Park Street, which is pretty much the Fifth Avenue of Calcutta. And there were no cars, and there was no He-Man and no TV and all of that. And then I met Jhala in school, and he had like an American football, and he had his 7th or 8th birthday party where he invited the entire class to Victoria Memorial. And then, like the snotty brat he was, he insisted that he bat throughout, even though he was bowled out like every time. And then my last memory is him having a tantrum, like crying and screaming that I want to bat more, it's my birthday. And like all the other kids were like, fuck, we're just pawns in this entire shit.
Happy to tell you, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. He just scolded me before we started recording. I got a yelling for asking him to put the lights on.
Yeah, he's become a little cranky also in his old age. So
Old age is getting us all cranky. Mumshi, in fact, is mellowing in his old age. Huh? I've seen the cranky days in Calcutta.
No, that's Calcutta. That has nothing to do with age. See, Calcutta is an overgrown fucking village, man. There's a crab mentality there. They're fucking. You live in that place for long enough. It's like it's a prison that's pretending to be a city.
Well, it lets you be an artist if you really want to.
Yeah, because you have so much time, but it lets you be a failed artist because you ain't going nowhere from there.
No, and that's obviously a good place to talk about is Calcutta, because that's where you spend most of your years making music, performing.
Yeah, that's my home. It is my home.
The music scene in Cal, look, for us growing up, what was the live music scene? It was someplace else at the park where you'd essentially have to play cover songs to get anywhere with the crowd. And then I think every band would, every 3 or 4 songs, try and shove their own original song in there. And then the crowd is like, oh man, come on, play Bon Jovi already.
Yeah, I agree. But like also you have to remember, Jhala, is like all those musicians that were playing cover bands, they have been in for instance, Ananda has been, in my books, the greatest Indian band ever, and which was High. And he was doing that whole someplace else gig at post High, post that time, when he started doing, for me, Hip Pocket is the first live band that I ever saw, live gig I experienced. They played everything, all my favorite songs, And that was my inspiration because I never had a chance to see the Rolling Stones live or the Beatles live or any of them.
How old are you, man?
Fucking old, man. But that was my role model. And those guys are actually the real cats because they never did it for fame. They never did it for money. They did it for the pure joy of making music. Okay. And I connect to that because we live in a day and age right now where it's all about selling yourself and getting your shit out there and presenting it all in the proper way. There's no fucking proper way, man. If there was a proper way, the Rolling Stones wouldn't exist. They've written songs like Under My Thumb, Stray Cat Blues, which is about, having sex with an underage woman, girl. Okay?
I wouldn't say those are necessarily good subjects to really write songs.
Why not? Stray Cat Blues is the most sleaziest.
I mean, it's not about the subject.
It isn't. It is about the subject.
It's about the freedom.
Well,
yeah.
It's about the ability to convey a message and having a musical feel to it, which is sleazy enough. And then you have this whole amazing sleazy rock and roll song. Stray Cat Blues is an amazing song, even though it's pretty much talking about being a pedophile. But that's what it is. And you know what? It's one of the greatest Rolling Stone songs ever. And I don't think it's possible to do that right now without being burnt, on social media or by, people who are like, oh, you're sexist, or you're racist, or you're feminist. It's fucking boring, man.
You put feminist in you clubbed it in with sexist and race.
I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about the freedom to express.
Look how I get ruled. We were in the right place at the right time. I still think the Supersonics, when that happened, there was no real original music for 20, 30 years in India. Okay. And we've always kind of, at least when it comes to this stuff, looked at the West and seen the West really produce all this great talent. And, as patriotic Indians, we'd like to say that we have something from here which we believe in, which gives us that much joy and makes us feel like that. And there's a scene that's created around that. And we were really we were the first to do it at that point, and I think we lucked out. I don't think it has anything to do with the music.
So what is it? When did you guys finally get your ticket out of Calcutta? Well, what was it?
I know when it started getting big. So basically, we started the band, and for the first 4 years, nothing happened. We've actually like played. We had a club gig, and we brought all our amps and drums and set up in this club. It was a decent paying gig for back in the day. And then we set up and everything. And then it was a room with a little door. And then this guy came in and he's like, "Oh, are you guys about to start?" So we were like, yeah, we're ready to go, man. So he's like, "Oh, okay, great." And then he goes, shuts the door, locks the door from outside so no one can come. And, so we were like, fuck, we're just going to be playing. So we practiced for a bit. And that was pretty much what it was like the first 3 years. And then we started playing at this place called Princeton Club. And that pretty much kind of changed it, I think, because we also kind of got good. We were also pretty shit, really, at that time.
But at this point, were you still, you weren't playing covers anymore. You're playing original music by now.
No, so the plan with the Supersonics was, because by the time the Supersonics started, we were kind of like all veterans in the cover music thing. We all were playing regularly in cover bands. And I was kind of I wasn't fed up with it. I loved playing other people's songs and, all of that. But I never saw a future in that. And I always wanted to play guitar and write songs and do all of that to express myself in the most, egotistical way, you might say. But, at the end of the day, a guitar is a tool, a voice is a tool. And if you're not going to speak something that resonates you and try and get it across, I mean, at the end of the day, you're just going to get bored. And I was bored of playing covers, man. You got to play the same songs the same way every time. You become a machine. It gets you jaded. It wasn't fun. So, I took conscious decision that I'm not going to do covers anymore. It was, at that point, it wasn't about because I hated covers. I just knew that if I took that stance at that point of time, I could actually progress with making my own shit. And so when we started off, for the first 6 months, we didn't play a gig. We just sat and rehearsed and
locked in a jam room.
Worked out, the chemistry, because at the end of the day, you can't just, no matter how good you are at your instrument, you can't pick up and immediately, because music is a conversation. When you're playing it, when you play a chord, someone reciprocates with another note or a groove. And that's how you build like a song, And I love that process. That is the process that drives me, where I have a song, and the song is not really completely formed. It's, a melody, a few words, of chord progression. And I'll take it and I've come with my preconceived ideas of what the song could be. And then suddenly I have, Chodu playing a different groove, and there's a low end with the bass. And then, Rohan would play some really nice guitar parts, he's a great guitar player. And it was amazing. Suddenly, you're like, wow, I never thought of any of this shit. And suddenly you see a song is born, a sound is born, and the thought of moving forward is also born. And that's the magic. But
was the movement magical to finally being able to release your music?
Yeah, the first 4 years for me of the Supersonics, when we had no money, no fame, no people, were actually my most favorite years of being in a band. Because once things kind of got big, everything got a little fucked after that, to be honest.
From what I hear, you're still not making too much money. I mean, and that's a discussion I want to get into.
No, money and music, at least, I sing in English, I write in English. There's no market for it in India. Let's face it. The amount of people who can really speak English in India is so small, okay, compared to the rest of the pop. You're targeting a niche of a niche, really, okay? And yeah, it was never about money anyway.
But no, of course not. But I mean, someone's making some money, right? I'm sure you signed on to a label and...
okay, yeah. Well, we signed to a label and yeah. Well, okay, so
So what? Who did you sign with? What label did you guys sign with?
We signed with Saregama, which was a part of HMV. I think they bought over HMV or whatever. So yeah, this is a funny story because I thought like I do want to talk about this. Is that at that point of time we were in this place where we had a bunch of songs. We paid money out of our pockets to record demos. Try to hang out with the right people and give them our demos and be like, listen to it. Do you think it's good? Hook us up with a gig. Hook us up with someone who can give us money to do this a bit more. And, none of that really worked. Okay. And then there was this whole initiative at that point by Saregama HMV saying that we want to basically take every major city, and take like 5 of the great bands that they're doing and record a song of each, and you release this as a compilation.
Like a talent hunt compilation.
Yeah, and you have to remember this is way before Facebook, Instagram. There's no social media.
What year was this? What year are we talking about?
2007?
2006, maybe. Yeah, 7. I don't. Yeah,
I mean, it's a wonder that he can remember what he did last weekend, and you're telling him
exactly.
tell you the year.
No, because it's important for me because 2006, 2007, I was hardcore into the rock and roll scene. I mean, I was moshing at iRock.
Yeah, so you had iRock and all of that, but you never had access to music that you heard at iRock. You heard the band live, but you never had and you had one GIR kind of CD compilation. But imagine the expense for the bands to record that, because then you couldn't record at home. You had to go to the studio. You got to pay a studio. You got to hire the gear. It's a huge expense. Can you imagine 22-year-old kids doing that? It's only the privileged can do that. Yeah, it's not sustainable. But, we kind of, put in all our, I remember I spent all my savings just going down to Bombay to give a certain person in a certain very high place a demo of my CD. And he was like, yeah, come and all. And then, I stayed with Jhala at that point, and I kept going, and he basically didn't fucking meet me and didn't even bother taking my CD. And, I spent all my money back then just to buy a plane ticket to come and do that. And it was hard, man. It was hard. But at the same time, because there was nothing else, you knew deep down that, man, the first person who really breaks this shit is going to win this game. And I have to say that was kind of what it was with us. And, maybe the music's good. I don't know. I don't have an objective opinion about that, but I think
I love your music.
Well, thank you. I mean, you guys are friends and family.
Can I rewind a little bit, because before we get into the business and how dirty that whole thing is, the industry, I want to go back to when you were a guitarist, right? And that was the first thing you learned how to play the guitar. What was that sort of transformation to becoming a songwriter? When did you first realize you could do that? Because I can only imagine that feeling of writing that first song and coming together. That's probably a feeling like no other, man, that you've written this. This is your baby.
Yes, there is that. But for sure, that's a journey, because I'll tell you why. At the end of the day, all songs are derived from your influences. Okay? And I can definitely pinpoint every song I've written, which song I was thinking of or inspired by. So the journey is you learn your instrument to a capable ability, and then you think of all the songs you love, and then you think, oh, I like that riff, I like that melody, but I could do that better or make it something more. And the process starts from that. And it's not supposed to be played to other people. You just do it for yourself. And then the more you do it, you suddenly realize, oh, you know what? I don't need that stuff to refer to or be inspired by anymore. I have enough of a backlog of, because I've heard enough music now, or I'm inspired enough to be able to pull it out from there. That process is an unknown. Where a song idea comes from, it doesn't. It comes from literally sitting and strumming a chord, playing a riff, or singing a lyric in different ways. And whenever it fits, it fits. Or it's not even about fits. Wherever it lets you move on to step 2, I think that's the stepping point of building up a song.
That's very cool.
Who were those biggest influences when you started out?
I mean, Bob Dylan for sure, the Beatles, John Lennon, Robert Hunter, who wrote all the lyrics and songs, most of them at least, not all, for the Grateful Dead, the Rolling Stones. I mean, it can even be 80s cheesy. I love pop. I think that there's a problem in India right now, at least amongst the really skilled musicians, is that they feel they need to show their skill. But I feel that if you really want to connect with people, you need to connect on a basis of conveying a feeling. And to convey a feeling, you need skill, but you need a good fucking song. Okay? It's the canvas. It's like, you can't put a, D8 on a cycle and think that you're going to rip it. You're not, it's not going to happen. The cycle's going to fail. You need to have a really good cycle for that shit to get to even, a bigger kind of place. If you hear, I trip out on listening to all these outtakes, Beatles have a lot of the stuff where these demos, Lennon playing these demos, McCartney playing, and you can see how they build it. And it's so rudimentary and so real, but that's really how songs are written. It's an idea. And then you get all these other people coming in and having their points of view and, building on it. And it makes you change your point of view also after point of time, because like you're just so inspired by whatever the hell's happening around you.
And so you're talking about like that part, that creation, that time in your band where you enjoyed it the most, where it was about the music. Then you go on to playing some big tours, some big festivals. I was there at the festivals. I am seeing the crowds. I am seeing the reaction. You're at like, I won't say peak, but you're on your way to like now establishing yourself. So like, where does it go from there? Do you hit a brick wall? Is there some point where it doesn't progress beyond that?
I mean, no, it can always progress. It can always get bigger. But, the thing is, the most important thing is that part of it isn't what, yes, that's what you're working for, but that's not why you do it. You do it for the sheer turn on you get when, like, you have an idea and another musician. It's a conversation. Music is a conversation. It's just our language is guitar notes, melodies, and when that it's like a good conversation. When that gets going, you just don't, you don't care if they're like 20,000 people or 2 people.
Well,
at that point,
from the outside, it seemed like one festival every month to like every festival. And there were times when he was sort of gone every weekend during season time. So that kind of escalated pretty fast after they got into the circuit.
No, it gives you a false impression of being successful, to be honest. Because at least in my band, I can tell you that I'm not going to name anyone, but there were people who thought they hit the big time, and the big time doesn't mean you're bigger than the music.
Okay, so I see something I've wanted to know. It's something that I want to know from your end. You've been through it. I want to get into the business of music. That's always, you see how musicians have been exploited. They don't really see the financial upside of things. And at the end of the day, me as a consumer, I'm consuming your music. Why aren't you really seeing? I go buy your CD or your cassette back in the day, and why aren't you guys seeing the upside? What is this? What is the organogram, or what's the route with money in music from a consumer to the artist?
It's easy to bash the labels, and I can tell you, I bashed the fuck out of all the labels because they made me change lyrics to my song. They never paid me a rupee of I still haven't been paid 1 rupee of royalty from HMB, Saregama, not HMB, whatever. Not one. I shut down that bank account. I couldn't be bothered. I think a couple of years back, Nissen, who played bass in the Supersonics, he kind of messaged them and he said, "Oh, sorry, but our contract was like, you got to give us money from your gigs," which we did, because we have to pay for your producer and your studio time, even though they are. And it was a fucked up contract. And we took it to lawyers. They were like, "Never signed this." But we signed it. And you know what? Today, if I look back, I'd sign it again, because
What other option do you have?
Yeah, what other option do you have? And you know what? I think about it. Jhala, you remember this? We went to Bombay right after Maybe Baking was released, and we were eating at a KFC, and you told me, "Fuck, they're playing like Supersonic song at KFC." That's where it is. Suddenly, you're eating your fried chicken, and you got like some like Indian indie. So the model for like growth, like a chance for Indian musicians would be like, why don't you like all those ads, those shitty ads with shitty jingles? Let's not have shitty jingles. Let's put in like, there's this whole make in India process. Why don't we just get like Indian fucking musicians making the music rather than have stock shit or some preconceived idea of what the song should be? Put that shit there and direct them to the streaming platform, because I hate to say it, I've come to a place where I've had to do a jingle right now, and that jingle that I've done has been playing in between overs of every cricket match that's been happening, and it's got like some like I don't know some 6-8 million views, and I'm getting like it's all over, and people like the jingle, and they're like, oh, what's the song?
Can you share the jingle? What is the jingle? Can you tell us what jingle it is?
I'm never gonna tell you.
Sing it. Sing it.
Fuck that.
No, but isn't that an issue already? That it's that mindset of your mindset that if somebody does jingles or somebody is doing musical scores, it's selling out and they're not doing what they actually.
If I tell you what I was thinking about, it will give away. But like essentially, when you're trying to sell something in music, you are selling out, man. No, music's not about that. I mean, my 21-year-old would be very, very upset with what I'm doing right now. But as of now, as a musician, you can't survive. How the fuck am I gonna do your ideals really supersede the fact that you need to eat and pay rent? No, it doesn't. So, we have to do things we don't like doing. And that is really the life of an artist musician in India right now, because there's no fucking, support system there for us.
Haven't you musicians tried coming together, forming a union?
I did. So back in the someplace else days, we were being fucking conned like left, right, and center. Pay for 2,000 rupees as a band, So I was like, if we all just said fuck off, man, we ain't gonna play for nothing. They're not going to be able to do this. But there were some guys who were so hard up who said, no, we're not going to be part of that. And that's the problem. We're so hard up in this industry that we can't afford to have a value system.
I mean, come on, if you collectively bargain, your ability to get some base level.
It only takes one person to undercut you. So we did this. So we were like, we're not going to play for less than 20,000 rupees for a 6-piece band. And then, so 10 bands say yes, and the client, whatever the money people are calling and finding out. And then they'll find one little kid who's going to be like, I'll do it for 5,000. And then that's the end of that.
So who's been able, in your mind, if anyone, to beat the system in India? Has there anybody, like, I don't know, like the pentagrams or parikramas, who are considered the successful?
I mean, the only ways they've made it is by doing commercial work. That's the reality. I mean, they may like the commercial work they're doing and think that, that's fine. They are doing that. But I personally really love the way Rakshit is doing his thing. He plays in Sky Rabbit, Yorchin. And he's kind of been composing, and he's struggled. He lived in Bombay. He's been living in Bombay for a year.
Yeah, I used to manage him. I used to manage Rakshit for a couple of... I mean, it's not like I managed him too much. Didn't do much work. But he's a phenomenal guy. And I'm a massive fan of... there's something very refined about Rakshit, man. It's his music
you
also...
guys should get him on the show. You got the wrong guy on
I
the
know.
show.
I think Sky Rabbit's another fantastic band, and they've been for some
Fantastic
gigs.
band. Yeah. So, because he comes from that whole thing about creating a song or track. I like that. I'm not into this fucking circle jerk of guitar wanking, man. That's fucking boring as shit, man. That's why I ran away from Cal. It's now become this whole thing in the name of
What does that mean?
jazz.
What does that mean?
Well, for instance, your band is named after the guitar player, so and so Trio, or so and so Quintet. He's a fucking guitar player, dude. Stay in the fucking shadows, man. That's where the fucking place you are. You ain't fucking singing, you ain't writing the fucking song. Stay in the shadows and play your little 20-second guitar solo and be happy. No, what we gotta fucking endure is like a 20 fucking minute drum solo. The fuck, man? That's not fucking.
Oh, so everybody's using it as in or their own personal audition or their own personal
No,
showcase.
it's because there's no one really doing anything, and now in the name of jazz, basically it's a circle jerk. Basically, I know. So now they're gonna form a blues band. You know why people form a lot of blues bands? There's only 3 fucking chords in the fucking song. So like it's gonna be like, oh yeah, now guitar player take a solo, keyboard player take a solo. It doesn't matter if I have 3 chords. Drummer take a solo. At this point, you think, is this fucking blues or is this a fucking guitar shred, whatever fucking exercise, man? It's fucking boring, man. It's boring. It's boring. I'm not saying this as music. I'm bored. I ran away from that crap, man. I can't deal with that. I mean, it's there should be everything for everyone, but I want like a little song. I want a little dance. I want a little melody. I want some words that ring true, that make me feel at that time, at that place. And you know what? The best thing about music is that the musicians aren't God on stage. The musicians are only as good as the people who come and listen to them. And that's a dialogue that happens between music. And it's a codependent, completely symbiotic relationship, which is amazing. That's what you should be chasing. If I had to fucking see a monkey fucking bend a string for like 6 hours, I could see some Asian kid on YouTube fucking going for it, man. At 6 years old, why do I need to see an aging Bengali fucking doing that and like think he's fucking like the blues, man? It's not. It's not.
Some of those kids are phenomenal.
Yeah, why would I go fucking for a gig while I'm trashed or whatever, and then like see this guy like ripping on pentatonics, followed at the end by a drum solo? Really? Drum solo? Wait. Have you ever read in the Billboard charts a drum solo being number 5? Any song with a drum? Fuck, maybe Moby Dick, but
Wait, isn't In the Air Tonight? It's not a full drum solo, but
no, it's a drum part.
That's a few good drum solos.
They're not solos, they're parts.
Okay.
Imagine
I honestly wish our listeners could have looked at what Jhala just did when
we'll release that part of the video No, 1 second. So what you guys are saying is that so something is going wrong in the process because there is no dearth of musical talent in this country.
No, there's no dearth of musical talent. They're all supreme. Yeah, you know what the problem is? They don't have an engine to fucking play to. Like, you need a song. There are no songwriters. They're great music, great guitar players, great drummers, great singers, all of that. But, they don't have a song to play on. Songwriting is the most underlooked part of music in this country. But that is actually the most valued thing. If you think about it, most of the Billboard Top 100 shit is written by like a bunch of songwriters. And then, some hot chick or guy is like prancing around singing it. But that creation of that song, to create that canvas, that's the most important thing. Because no guitar solo is going to be good without a good song to play on. No vocal delivery is going to be good if they don't have a good song to sing. So it's that kind of, if you don't have that, it's just boring.
So what's the gap? How do you fix that? How do we get songwriters in this country? How do we get people thinking about that more?
Well, for starters, an acknowledgement that the thing is that a lot of the way music stands right now is that there isn't too much thought really about songs. People aren't interested in songs. We have electronic music right now, which has nothing to do with songs. It's about sound. And that's kind of big. There's rap, and it's not my thing, but Keith Richards said a lot of words and too little said. I think there's something there.
Too many words, too little said.
Yeah.
I think rap is an insanely unique form of expression as well.
No, sure, it is. It is, but I'm bored because there's no melody really for me, and I don't even relate to the lyrics. Very honestly, for me, actually, rap music. I'm not in a hood. I don't fucking belong to the east side, west side. I can barely fucking
You
like
do
eat
belong
my
to
rice.
the east
I'm
side.
Bengali. I eat fish, and in the afternoon, you think I fucking like have hoes, bitches, and like fucking gold chains around? No, it's
I can't wait to play you a 6-hour grime set sometime soon.
But I think a lot of the rap, no, but a lot of the rap is not about relatability, but more about aspiration. It's the people who want to have the gold chains and the bitches by the side and the fancy cars. And they're like, oh man, these rap guys are cool, man. I want
that's
to be like
what
that.
if that's what you aspire to be, you have other problems.
What are your aspirations?
I would like my aspiration, very honestly, is like if I could like sustain doing my shit. I think that's the most important thing, right? Like what is the definition of success? It's not really money. It's about being able to do what you love doing in the most truest and purest way. Yes, money is required for that, but like it's not it for sure. And you need people who aren't chasing fame, aren't chasing money, aren't chasing bitches or gold chains. It's like they need to really want to make the music that they love or feel like they need to emote.
And that they get affected by, man, and that people who listen to it, they feel something.
Yeah, that's all. At this profession is all about moving people, making people feel, making people have a memory, a moment. That's what a song is. That's what a piece of music is. We all identify with songs to a part of our past, to a special moment, to a special person, a special memory, and that's money can't buy that. You can't to get to that place. You really have to, kind of say that I don't really want all of those things. It's a hard place to be.
Did you ever, like, when you were doing that, when you were making music, like you said, for yourself and something to move you, did you ever have self-doubt or fear?
I live in self-doubt. I think I'm shit. I know I'm shit, really. If I really think about all the people that I admire and love, I definitely am shit. Okay? But at the same time, that hasn't stopped anyone from making shit anyway. So, all I can say is that I hope my shit can move you. And, with the Supersonics at least, and the best part of it has been like people like being like, the song I proposed to my future wife with the song of husband, we met at your gig. And that's the stuff that's kind of right now I can look back and say that's real. That's the most rewarding part of the entire journey. Because at the end of the day, we just want to like move and connect with other people.
I'm going to make myself a drink. I need a refill.
But anyway, I remember this Blue Frog gig when Jhala came on stage. I don't know, he's gone for a leak, but it was ridiculous. He sang "Yeah, Whatever" at Blue Frog. That was a
Really?
fun. Yeah, that was
That's
a fun.
cool.
There were 50 people on stage. It was quite fun, actually. Yeah, everybody
You know-
came on stage.
I had a band when I was 16. It was called Acid Bass. And
Really?
I was the world's worst bass player. And sometimes we would
Acid Bass. I like that name.
Do you? Wow,
I
I should
do.
tell the boys. These are some of my childhood friends, and we used to jam at my friend's empty apartment that his parents had, and it was pretty cool. I think you
Why'd
have
you
to-
stop playing? Why'd you stop playing bass?
I was really shit. I was just shit. I wouldn't practice enough. I thought I was the rock and roll king before I really learnt my instrument.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the bit that I think Mumshi has been teaching these kids in school, like Future Hope, and I think that's the predominant problem with teenagers. Okay, they've arrived before they have. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a prime example of that. But
Your band, Acid Bass, was the name of this band.
Who's?
Karan's.
You're a rock and roller.
yeah, dude, I was a bassist, and yeah, it was
Even
shit.
better. 4 strings, don't bore us, get to the chorus. Like, not very, but like, my folks aren't very Bengali, but their relatives are. And frankly speaking, when I started playing in a pub at the age of 16, I have always been the black sheep. Oh, pub, baja hai. A dirty fucking, you're a bad boy. At the age of 16, he's around drugs, women,
Booze
alcohol.
and drugs.
Really?
Yeah.
You
What
wish you were there, man. You fucking.
But that's been rock and roll through the ages. It's always been, it's the
No.
work of the devil. It's the work of the devil. And then like,
India is in this forced conservatism that like we can't like get out, and at the end of the day, I know enough non-veg people who are part of veg families and hide and eat non-veg.
let's definitely not name those names.
I mean, it's crazy in Bombay, in Vileparle, you have buildings where you're not allowed to order non-veg food. You can't
But
fucking order
told
food
me-
and eat at home.
She told me like she got kicked out of her house because she cooked an egg in there, but like really.
Jesus.
I mean, this is the same people who were like beating their women and like fucking.
You don't know that, Mumshi.
I mean, if you're not eating meat, you probably are.
Well, I went vegetarian for a year, or not a year, maybe a little less, but
Yeah,
I
but
just
it's not
had this-
forever.
no, but I had this hunger in me. It's like I was hungry for 8 months till I didn't eat that meat.
Flesh, you're craving flesh.
Yeah, man, it just wasn't satisfied. It wasn't satiated.
Mrinalini, how over the years, how have you fended off the many groupies that have come and clawed at Mumshi's ankles?
Who said I have? I don't do that shit. Fending
That's a
is not my
classic Yoko
style.
Look,
answer.
about that shit, we should have a conversation about that. Firstly,
Should we?
love is something, okay, and sex is something else. I think it's about time the human race now. Mrinalini's pinching me on the side, but we really need to kind of, it's not real if you get into whatever marriage and the guy is going to Thailand to fuck every hooker and
Okay, definitely edit this.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
not.
this
That's
is-
not real. That's not real.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
that's
that
half
is
of India.
happening.
That's half of
And
India.
it's happening in India. Most men are cheating, losing fucking idiots. Okay, and the women have been like put into such a place where they have to be accepting. But my point of view in this entire thing is that you should be free to do what you want. If you really love someone, it transcends all of that. And
You really love
yeah,
someone.
love is not about sex.
Dude, I am totally with you on the concept of it all, but it's easier said than done when there's always one person who's a little bit maybe more emotionally affected by something like that than the
No,
other
if
person.
there's one person more emotionally affected, you cannot batter them emotionally with that. Then you have to change your ways if it means that much. But if you find someone who sees it the same way as you do, okay, then it is not a question of battling it. It's a question of, well, that's just part of it. It's like eating vanilla ice cream yesterday and chocolate ice cream today.
Is it? Like some girls, huh?
Yeah, yeah, look at Mick Jagger. Who's giving him grief? It's like,
Mick Jagger went on a date with my mother.
You
I
look a
don't-
lot like him.
no,
I don't
I
No wonder all this musical talent. When I'm at karaoke, everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, that's where it
I've
comes
tried, by
from.
the way, Shanks. I've tried many times over the years to try and be part of Mumshi's band, backing vocals, some vocals.
The
He's told me to learn bass guitar. He said that's the easiest.
Come, I'll teach you.
Yeah, bass guitar is great, and actually, it's the most fun job because
It is a fun instrument.
It's amazing. You get to groove and play melody, and you don't have to be at the front of the stage getting the bruises. Like if the band sucks, it's the vocalist, it's the guitar player, but not the bass player. No one says like the band sucked because of the bass player, man.
Ever. But it truly did. But
I don't know. I don't know if I could be in a band and be in the background.
Yeah, because you're not into being in a band. You're being into the foreground. Like,
wow, we
my
need
gosh,
to show this stuff. Jhala, you're a hype man, not a front
Truly
man.
frightening. Truly frightening.
So, Mumshi, I have a few questions. I think I wanna know a few things from your perspective. The Indian music scene right now, who are the bands you're most excited to listen to? Who do you think are some of the good ones out there? Over and above the guys you've mentioned, I'm talking like bands and rock and roll
So
bands.
that's the problem in the Indian music scene right now. There are no bands. It's about consistency, right? Like you got to be around. You got to keep putting out music. You got to be a band for a considerable amount of time. My band couldn't do that. Every time we released an album, we tour behind it and break up on the tour. So we released Maybe Baking. We were on a UK tour and we never spoke to anyone. And then when things were all getting big, we broke up. Then we got back again and then released an album. And then while we were touring for that album, we broke up again. And see, thing with the Supersonics was at the end of the day, we were really good friends. It's a marriage. It's a relationship. It really is. I've said this before also, but we started when we were really young. We were kids. We never had plans of becoming rich. Our only plan was like, we're gonna fucking bring rock and roll to India. That was our plan. That was the only. And then when things got big, certain people thought that they were bigger than that, and egos came in, and friendships started getting frayed. And when you're really thick with someone, when someone does something that offends you, it hurts even more, and you take it badly even more, and you read into it even more. So it's maybe trope and kind of rock and roll, kind of whatever it is. It's cliche, but it's true. Like, because playing music together isn't just about playing together. It's about putting your entire life into that, your time, your dreams, your passion, your hard work, your opportunities you throw away. And when you put that much into something, it also takes very little for it to get Roger. So with the Supersonics, we were all brothers, and then we weren't. And some of us have found a way to still, be good, but there's some things that you can't really change anymore, or correct or fix. And it's sad. It's my greatest tragedy in my life. We were just a little band from Calcutta, so we'd never seen the successes and heights of Beatles or any really big band. So at the end of the day, it was four of us kind of, in this journey. And yeah, the regrets. I've lost some very close friends because of that. It's a sad taste.
And hopefully, I don't know, man. Time heals all, I suppose, and maybe there's a day you guys can see past this and get together.
Maybe, but probably not.
No last dance.
We try every once in a while. It was like the 10-year anniversary of Maybe Baking, and we kind of tried to like mobilize something. And if there's some fundamental issues of where you come from and why you do what you do, and if people have changed, evolved, grown into other things, it's hard to kind of, bring it back to where you were 10 years back and say that, why don't we do it for the sake of that? It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't.
You're doing it for the wrong reasons then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, It's not
Yoko,
like
I think you need to give him a hug.
No, I think this has been accepted. This is coming from a place of acceptance more than like.
No, but you can feel that it's straight out of his heart, and like while you were just narrating this whole story, I mean, I could feel.
No, I mean, not taking names. I lost a really good friend in the midst of it. I'm not sure if we, if we didn't play music together, if we would still be like that. But it's a weird place, because everyone is invested. Everyone has expectations. Everyone wants something. And when things happen and it doesn't maybe happen the way you imagined it, it brings about a lot of shit that, has nothing to do with the music. So it's a codependency. There's a
Because everyone's expectations have to be aligned. That's insane to even think about. It's
Yeah,
already enough to have your
especially.
own dreams and aspirations and
Exactly,
expectations. And then
exactly.
to
So
align exactly with everyone else
with everyone else, from people come from different backgrounds, different ideas of success, of what it should be, how it should be. It's really hard, man. That's why I think the biggest problem in India is culturally we don't have this whole thing about, bands and like people like playing, if someone, quits a band or you have a bad time, you fire the guitar player or the drummer. We never did that in the Supersonics. It was a very thought out thing. Is that because we are what we are as the four of us, and if you take one out, you can't replace it, no matter how good you are, because there's an energy, there's a vibe that happens with that sort of set of people doing that. And that's the problem in India, because right now, if there's a musician in the band who's got another gig for more money, he ain't gonna play your gig or give you studio time or come for rehearsal. And you can't blame him, because he needs the money. Everyone needs the money, really, in this
I
field.
mean, if you think about the amount of time a musician puts into producing an album, you're looking at rehearsal time, which is hours and hours. You're looking at studio time. You're looking at the cost of buying instruments and gear. You're looking at forming that chemistry. Yeah, and all of that together works out to.
And all of that for like probably like a couple of your friends like Jhala will say your shit all the time.
No, we were talking. Actually, Jhala and me were having a conversation about this, man. About whether making music for a musician, is it really work? Is it? Are you just
No,
doing
it's not
what you
work.
love?
It's not work. We don't do what we do because it's work. We do it because it's our drug. It's an addiction. Okay, it's a way of life. Our life it gives us purpose. It gives us meaning. It gives us motivation. It gives us joy. It's all that. It has not.
what else would you do if you didn't have music now, right?
I can't.
there's-
I've sold charity on the streets of New York. I've waited table. I'm doing jingles now, because I have to. It's fucking hell. But
selling charities in the streets in New York, I think it lasted one day.
1 week.
Yeah, you're
One
witnessing
week.
it.
One second. Were you like those evangelists out in
He
on
had
the
a
streets
he had
of New
a
York?
he had a uniform and a clipboard.
My
This
God.
is at the height of supersonic success also. You can imagine what your ego fucking takes, like you're like God, and then next minute like people are like, fuck off, don't talk to me. Why the fuck you come to
charity? I mean, what was the thought process? Why the hell were you doing that?
He had to make some money.
I mean, I have to bring this back to the now and the here and today and the pandemic. I mean, things were pretty bleak before this pandemic happened, but now that hospitality and the entertainment industry is just taking a proper battering, where do you think this is going to go? How is a musician supposed to make a living now?
There's nothing bleak about it, because I just read an article today where Fender, who are like one of the biggest guitar makers, have said that this pandemic period has seen the biggest sales growth in a time where guitar music was thought to be dead in the last 15 to 20 years. Okay. So, I think this pandemic has made everyone kind of realize what's important and, what is real, what are the things we want to invest our time in, and really appreciating the things that we've taken for granted all this time. So there is a plus to that, man. I think so. But during the pandemic, no, it's fucking the worst time for musicians. Musicians are fucked all over. We don't have anyone like, helping us out, giving us a break. No, it's not. We can't play. We can't make, musicians, since Napster, musicians were fucked because the only way they can make money is really by playing live gigs. Those days of making an album and then sitting on royalties and all, that's done. That's done. And in a way, I was speaking to Karan about this yesterday. I was like, I've done that whole thing of going with a label, signing a label, big thing, maybe selling out. And, I had to give gig money, sold the rights of my songs, all of that. And then the second album I made was completely independent. Well, it wasn't complete. We had Red Bull, who was fucking amazing, like sponsoring that shit and paying for it. But at the same time, if I had to like look back, I wouldn't have been in that position if I never signed that deal. And I actually think back in the day when you had a label, someone paid you a shitload of money, took care of your marketing, took care of all the bullshit. All you had to do was do your thing. And you had to work to get to that space, but that's fine because that's the journey. But right now, you could work, get to that space, and you'll still be lost because you're not U2. You're not, fucking a famous band. And on a streaming platform, you're lost. You're lost. Like, who the fuck? If I release my solo album, who the fuck's gonna listen to it? Really, no one.
So, in response to why anyone should pick up a guitar or a pencil or anything artistic or creative, I think is because it's an escape. I mean, could you go through COVID without music or films to watch on Netflix?
Exactly.
Not at all. Exactly.
And it's really, I mean, I don't think everyone who picks up the guitar thinks that they're going to be successful or good at it, but I think it provides you some solace, which you can't get. I mean, some people do it by working out. To each his own. Okay, it's not like this is the only way.
But music is universal, man. There's not a single person on the planet.
I mean, not to be biased,
the first thing that you hear when you have a consciousness is your heartbeat, and it's rhythm.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a brilliant way to just bring it all together, because now, Mumshi, you actually teach kids. You've got like students. You have like 40 students. You teach guitar. So what do you tell them? Like, is the message, okay, don't do it because it's not working?
I think at least at this time, I think something like a guitar is amazing. You're locked up, okay? You've got nothing to do. You're paranoid. You're scared. It's depressing. And, I used guitar like this back in the day. I was a loner in school. I was a foul-mouthed runt who wasn't really popular in school. And I kind of found my hideaway in guitar because it's a lot of repetitive practice. It's a lot of hard work. But every time you achieve, okay, you can actually physically see yourself doing things that you couldn't think was possible. And that is such a great feeling. I think that in itself is the greatest drug, where you feel that good, just creating, making, or there's a physical, you strum a chord and it sounds right, and there's an instant reaction within you. There's a tangible product at the end of that hard work. And it's great. That's what I wouldn't tell them to think of it as a career choice. If I had my kid, before the fucker could walk, I'd hand him a cricket bat and fucking say, just yeah.
I'm immediately removing my uterus.
Right now, let's all take a pause and think about Mumshi's kids mucking about this universe.
Too late, uterus gone.
I think the lesson that we really got from this episode, at least what I've got, is if you're doing it, do it for yourself, do it for the craft, do it for the love of it.
For sure, yeah. It has nothing to do with music.
And
that's
wherever it takes you, man, that's just a bonus. That's the journey, that's the ride that you go along with.
Yeah, man.
Don't think about a career and success 10 years down the line, because it's that hope that's gonna kill you, I think.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? I'd be lying if I said that musicians don't have that hope. They do have that hope. We all have that hope. I've had plans of an island and, making rock and roll the thing in India. And we all do. And, that is a very motivational thing in the entire thing. But it wasn't it. At the end of the day, my best experiences of being a musician in India has been playing music at the end of the day. I look back and my best moments are rehearsals, some gigs where something magical happened, being in a studio for the first time, learning the ways of the studio, learning how to, make an album, make a record, I mean, that shit, like, you can't buy that. Those are experiences that happen if you're really into that journey. So,
and as a songwriter once put it, everything is as everything should be. That's from Mumshi's song, yeah, whatever. Guys, I think this has been a fantastic episode. Shanks has got his work cut out to edit some of this down, but thank you.
Man, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to this edit.
Thank you, Mumshi. Thank you, Mrinalini. That's been a really good conversation. I think this has been like a real conversation after a while. And I already know the title of this episode as well. Not naming names. That's what I'm gonna cut.
No, it should be, why would I?
Yeah, exactly.
But on a farewell note, I hope we do get to see a last dance from the Supersonics someday when you guys are able to see past everything that's already been.
Man, even now when friends are over and I play that for them, they're just like, people are wowed, man. They're like, this is
just for the sound, just for the music. I think you guys were real. As soon as I heard this track, we were
It's
contemplating.
the problem of like talking to friends and family. It's just like
the circle jerk that you were talking about.
yeah. Pretty much
Yeah, I mean, we're all the most handsome boys to our mums.
yeah,
exactly.
Of course. I don't think my mom thinks that either.
Lovely stuff, man. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right,
Hope you guys enjoyed this
Hail
episode.
Satan.
Hail Satan.